and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Megan and I have a sustainable and ethical life and style blog at activism.com. Today I want to talk about how to have a more sustainable closet right now. A lot of people are talking about sustainability, and I'm really glad that that conversation is also entering the fashion industry. Obviously, I have a whole blog about it. Sustainable fashion is really important to me, and I think it's a huge issue facing the industry right now, and it's important that we take action. That being said, I still think that there are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to have a sustainable closet. So let's talk about it. Before I dive into my tips and things for having a more sustainable closet, I want to give a baseline definition for what sustainability means to me. A lot of people, when they think about sustainability, only think about the environmental side of being sustainable, but with sustainability there's also a social and ethical component, and related to fashion, a lot of times that means fair wages for garment workers and kind of all along the supply chain, so even people who grow the raw materials like cotton and things like that. So when I'm talking about sustainability, I'm not just talking about the environmental benefits, I'm also talking about all of the social stuff as well. So the first thing you need to do to have a more sustainable closet, this is truly groundbreaking, wear what you already own. A lot of people seem to think that in order to have a sustainable closet, you need to get rid of all of the unsustainable stuff that you already own. The problem is, that's unsustainable. Like, to get rid of things that you already have that are in perfectly good working condition and you probably like because they're in your closet, to get rid of those things just to replace them with new items is literally just not sustainable. The most sustainable thing you can do is use what you already have, and so in terms of your closet, the best thing to do is to wear what you already own. Related to that, do a closet audit. Like, look at what you have in your closet. I know we all have had moments where we see something in our closet that we haven't seen for months, maybe years, and like, oh my god, I can't believe that I forgot about it. So really look through all the clothes that you have and try to get an idea of what you own and get creative. I forget who it was, but somebody that I follow on Instagram last summer was doing a closet clean out, and one of the ways that she did that was by wearing every single item in her closet for an entire day. So she'd wear the item all day, decide if she wanted to keep it or not, and then would document it on her Instagram stories. I also think that's a really cool way to do kind of a closet audit. Like, try to wear everything that you have in your closet. Maybe that will inspire you to get rid of some things responsibly, but it's also a good way to really get a good grasp of what you already own. Kind of going off of this idea, it's important to look at the stuff you already own as high quality stuff. Treat every item in your closet like the most expensive item in your closet. Like, I understand why we take care of some of our more expensive items more, but at the same time, that just seems backwards. We should be taking care of everything that we own and making sure that it lasts a long life, regardless of how much we spent on it. Just because something is cheaper doesn't mean it deserves to be used up and thrown away. Most of the time when people talk about issues with the fashion industry and sustainability, they're talking about fast fashion, and it's the mindset that fast fashion kind of puts onto you as a consumer that's just so bad. Fast fashion brands utilize something called planned obsolescence. They create products that are meant to break down so that you buy something new again. So really, taking care of all of the clothing in your closet, including the fast fashion pieces that you may have bought recently or from years ago, is an act of activism. Even if clothes are advertised to you as throwaway items, don't look at them that way and don't treat them that way. And continuing on with how to treat your clothes, it's really important to know how to take care of them and how to extend their useful life. And some of the ways that I do this are learning how to wash and dry them properly. Like, did you know you're not supposed to put athletic material like leggings or anything in that like stretchy athletic material in the dryer? It makes it pilly faster, it makes it stretch apart and start breaking down faster. So the way that I take care of them is I put them in the washing machine, but I hang dry them. And that has allowed me to use the same leggings for like literally the past large number of years. Another way that you can take care of your clothes is by learning to mend them. I learned how to sew in my home economics class in middle school, and I also was fortunate to grow up with a role model of a mother who loved to sew and fix her own clothes. So anytime she had something with a hole or where the waist was too big, she would just take it down to the sewing machine and fix it up. So I grew up around that mentality, but not everybody does, and especially with the rise of fast fashion, we are told to just throw things away once they break, and learning how to mend things, like simple things like sewing up a hole or putting a button back on, they're not hard. There are plenty of YouTube videos out here on the interwebs, and that's a great way to extend the useful life of the clothes that you already own. You also should think about how you store your clothes. Recently, I was looking at a black sweater of mine that I love that has been hanging in my closet, and I noticed that the shoulders were more stretched out than the rest of the sweater, and that was because it was hanging on a hanger, and that weight pulling it down changed the shape of the sweater. So instead of hanging it in my closet now, I fold it up and put it in a drawer. It's little things like that that can help extend the life of that sweater so that the shoulders don't become so stretched that I no longer want to wear it. It's also important to think about the end of life for your clothing. Not all clothing will last forever. A lot of it's not made that way, and a lot of it isn't treated that way. So clothes will eventually become unwearable or unwanted by you. So take some time to really think and reflect on what you do with your clothing once it reaches the end of its life. Secondhand fashion has been growing at an enormous rate, which is really exciting. There also are some problems with donating clothing. Disclaimer, do not have all the research down on all of this, but I have read quite a bit of information about this. So not all of the clothes that you donate to thrift stores actually get sold in thrift stores, and also a large amount of clothing that you put in those donation bins actually gets sent to developing countries, especially in Africa, and are sold on a market there for really cheap amounts of money. When people there buy those clothes, they're supporting this American market and not supporting their local textile market, so it negatively impacts their economy. Not only that, but if people don't want some of the clothes, if it's unwearable, too stained, or just not practical for the climate or where they're living, it will be sent to a landfill and it will decompose there. A lot of fast fashion especially is made with really dirty chemicals that once they break down seep into the soil and into the groundwater and impact the health of these communities as well. Again, I'm not an expert on this, I'm trying to learn more about it, but take that as a thought that donating your clothes isn't always the answer. And if you're gonna donate your clothes, great, but donate things that are high enough quality so that they're things that will actually be sold on the secondhand market and not sent to developing countries to have these negative impacts. Some other things you can do are have a clothing swap with your friends, or see if there's one happening in your area, or even on your college campus. If there isn't one happening on your college campus, see if you can start or organize one. You go to USC, the Wrigley Institute Ambassadors and Bloom Boutique will be hosting one in a few weeks in November, I believe, so keep an eye out for that. You can also repurpose your clothing, so think of it like a thrift flip, but with clothes you already have. You can also sell the clothes that you no longer wear to make sure that it goes to somebody who's going to appreciate it. I've had quite a bit of success selling on Poshmark and on Depop lately, so try that. Or try selling it to your friends. Have like a little marketplace if you don't want to do a swap, and sell to each other. I know we did this in my sorority and that was a great like sisterhood event, so think about doing that. And another option is downcycling if necessary. So if something just isn't wearable anymore, see if there's another use for it. So let's say a t-shirt is really torn up, stained, just can't wear it anymore. Think about cutting it up into rags and using them like reusable paper towels. That'll also save you money in the long run, and it's giving it another use. Also see if it's possible to recycle. I have a blog post where I talked about some brands that will recycle your clothes, things like jeans, bras, bathing suits. There are a lot more textile recycling opportunities nowadays, so check out that post if that's something that you're interested in. I will link it down below. And now, kind of beyond the clothing that you actually have, also take a minute or a few minutes to Think about how you make your purchases. What goes through your mind when you are buying a new piece of clothing? Is it just something you want because you don't feel like you have enough in your closet? Is it something that you want because it's trendy? Is it something that you want just because you need some retail therapy? Reflect on what you think about when you are buying new things or shopping for clothing, and start to become more conscious about your consumer habits. And then beyond then, start to reflect about how you might think about shopping differently in the future. So reflect on your consumer values. Look into conscious consumerism and see what that is all about. I talk about it a lot on my blog and my Instagram, but start to reflect on what's important to you and what you want to monetarily support and vote for when you buy something new. You can also think about buying things secondhand or buying things that aren't necessarily sustainably made, but that are made to last and are higher quality items. Just start to think more consciously about the way you shop and how you want to shop and the kinds of things that you need to do to get to where you want to be in terms of your consumer mindset, and what changes you need to make internally and mindfulnessly to get there. So those are my tips for having a more sustainable closet right now. I know it's probably not what you were thinking, but wearing what you already have, learning to take care of the clothes that you have and seeing them as valuable pieces of clothing is a really important step in becoming a more conscious consumer and having a more sustainable closet. Sustainability is about being resourceful, and it's not about buying things. So I hope that that little shift in your mindset or thinking was helpful in starting to give you a grasp of what sustainable fashion and what a sustainable closet actually looks like. So that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video.